All right, looks like we're live. It is the 13th of June, 2024. Hey, everybody. This is Gimbalabs Open Spaces, where we get together every Thursday just to do 90 minutes of stuff together. What we do at the start of each session is we open up a Miro board that looks like this. For everybody who's here, the link is in the chat. Um, and we just spend a couple minutes thinking about what we want to talk about. So right here, you can see what's on my screen. I have a timer set for 2 minutes. Here's the board. We got some sticky notes, and you guys know the drill, but just in case anybody's new or watching this for the first time, we take 2 minutes just to collect our thoughts and to record on sticky notes any number of things that we might want to talk about or work on today. And then after 2 minutes, we do a quick share out of what's there on the board. We sort things into main room, breakout rooms, and these circles that we've been organizing our work in. And then we think about what the agenda is for today. So we'll start right there. Any questions about getting started? All right, I'll set this timer. If you don't have access to the Miro for any reason, just unmute and say what you want to talk about or drop it in the chat and we can add that to the board. See you in 2 minutes. All right. I hope that was a good time for everybody. It's exciting. There was a time recently for me where if there was maybe a smaller set of ideas here, that would have caused a little anxiety for me. But this has been happening in so many different spaces where I've been spending time lately is there's fewer but bigger things to work on. And that's high level kind of what I'm seeing here. But let's go through these and see which one of these big rocks we want to focus on today. So someone added brief admin updates. Anybody want to say a word about that?
Yeah, that's me. Some really two points that I had to share with you respect to the administration of things.
Perfect. Any objections to spending 5 minutes here in the main room after we go through
Less.
everything else right here? 5 minutes or less on admin updates. All right, awesome. Silent workroom.
Oh, that was just me. Depending on what else is going on, I wanted to work on editing 102.2.
Beauty. Okay, awesome. Outreach and advocacy.
Yeah, that's me. So like Harsha said, he would like to hear my thoughts on this, but I see now there's like it's connected to the item of the discussion of the education and learning circle, right? How to get involved at Gimbalabs. So maybe we could tie
Oh,
this
that's
into
true.
that work. Yeah. So and we could discuss so how to get involved at Gimbalabs, what are good pathways to get involved in Gimbalabs. And because I thought from like getting your feedback yesterday and having the thoughts today, that actually the best action item, anyone who would be willing to do this kind of activity would be to talk to Sebastian and to figure out if they need some help and what is the best way they see in this, because they've been leading this work and have the most insight probably into this. Yeah, so that's just random thoughts, but I would love to jump in with working on lesson 133 and then see what is coming from.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And so one thing we talked about at live coding yesterday was the possibility for like a dedicated outreach and advocacy proposal that could help drive the work of this circle here, similar to how the PPBL work is bringing a lot of activity to this circle right now. And one by one, we're going to watch other circles really start to stand on their own and to have different subsets of people really committed to those things. But I think starting from kind of one thing we have to finish, which is a lesson about a learning target about getting involved at Gimbalabs, we can start here, think about the first things we want to tell people, and then maybe that'll extend into some broader outreach and advocacy work. So yeah, I threw that one there. I threw this one too, just making sure that the assignments for these first four modules are complete and look good. That way we'll have finishing touches on the 100 level. We're a few days behind on the 200 level modules, but that's okay. There's been a lot going on and we'll get to those. So yeah, I'm thinking we can use some education circle space for that. And then I'm assuming this is Nelson.
Yep. Yeah. Celtics.
Working with the door open and we can have a space for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. This looks great. So let's jump to some admin updates. And then it looks like maybe we can have this connective work between education, outreach, and advocacy. Maybe this can stay in the main room for today. We can have a breakout room for just folks who want to work on stuff and a breakout room for builders. How's that sound? All right. I will pass it to Sebastian for admin updates.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hi, Rory. Sebastian here. Some updates. As you know, Catalyst is funding our treasury, and we have to present monthly reports to get the next tranche of funding. And one of the important things is to show or prove that the flowing of funds is connecting to a previous process, and a governance and decision-making process. That's the idea. So we need that. We need to get that task done each month, and we need all the funded proposals, all the Gimbalabs funded proposals, all the Gimbalabs members that have are receiving some kind of funds from this treasury to deliver on their proposals. We need those proposals in the Notion, because the Notion in this moment is the tool that we are using to make it to take to decision making. So in the case, for example, of the PPL, deliver PPL 2024, that proposal is in the Notion. And the task that that proposal covers are in the Notion. So, and we have the case of the Ken's proposal. That proposal is not in the Notion, in the GitLab Notion, and that proposal is receiving funds from this treasury. So, respectfully, I request to Ken, and it's not, Ken is just one case, but in the future, we need this, we need to have all these proposals in a single place. That is, for the moment, the Notion. So, and specifically, I ask to Ken, please. I know maybe I'm wrong. I'm really wrong, and I don't see.
Where exactly in the Notion is it supposed to go?
Yes, you have the proposal in your Notion, your personal
Where
Notion.
is it supposed to go in the
Yeah,
Gimbalabs one?
I guess that in this I was looking for a sustainability because the sustainability has the Hong Kong's local website. So I imagined, I supposed that maybe your proposal was there, but I don't know. The important thing is just put your proposal in the.
Well, but no, Ken's question is valid. So specifically where it should go is you can see that we have the Gimbalabs HQ
okay.
team space. Okay,
That
so on the left.
depends, and that depends of the circle. For example, the PPL is in the education circle, and the Hong Kong's website is in the sustainability circle.
Okay.
So maybe
So
that
some circles have taken the time to set up subgroups in the Gimbalabs Notion, and if they have, that's fine. However, that's not a blocker. Anybody,
no.
anytime, the projects that we're working on are on the left-hand side of Sebastian's screen.
Yeah, here.
There,
That's
exactly. Gimbalabs HQ projects. That's really where every project should go. If a circle takes on a sub-project, that's great. Then they can use their own organization. But at a high level, this is the one-stop shop for everything. There's a blue button in the top right-hand corner of the page that says New. You would just tap the New button and you can add a project.
Yeah, you said that really well. Yes, the most important is we need that project or the projects in the future to have a place here. That's the most important thing. So you have freedom to decide where you want to put in these sections. But the most important is the projects in general should be here. Yeah, that's, and the other thing, sorry, Ken, for this, but you don't have a Discord account. I know, as I
I
expressed.
have one.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay, please. You can
difficult to
Yeah.
like it. I just don't use it that much.
Yes, I want to be respectful of your opinion about this, but we need that, and not only you, we need that all the funded proposers, in this case the Gimbalabs funded proposers, have some kind of way of communication. This Discord is the for the moment is our best shot. And okay, that's for my side. Thanks a lot. Additionally, thanks, Alex. Really good proposal. I was reading the proposal and really good content. I think I will get many plays in that book to the work that I am doing in the
Thanks,
social media
Sebastian.
side. Thanks a lot, man. Really good.
Well,
Deep
yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. That's all.
Thanks, Seb. Any questions from anybody? Cool. And as always, if anybody needs a Notion account, just let Sebastian or me know. We can make sure you're in there. And if we ever need to spend time during this meeting, this would be a great agenda item just to look through and make sure everybody's comfortable dropping a project in there. All right. So let me open up some breakout rooms. I'll make 2 that people can jump into. There they are. And is it okay here in the main room if we stay here and start with education, but probably connect it to outreach and advocacy as we go along? Let's try it. All right, we are making progress each week on PPBL 2024. And so the course looks like this. And you can see that there are release dates if you look at the public view of the course. So this is our editing view, but let's also just open up the public view so we can review that. You can see there's release dates here. And our goal had been to release module 201 yesterday. We might be a little bit behind on that, and it's okay if we have to bump these release dates a little bit to make sure that the content gets done. Before really jumping into 201, which Nelson and Sebastian and I, we attended the Mesh PBL session on Tuesday. We wrote a little outline for some of these, and so it's going to be nice to jump into that. But before we do, there's a couple of finishing touches to put on module 103. And so that was the first sticky I threw on the Miro board today. Just high level, right? What do people do at the start of this course? The intro is very short, and we have them go straight to plutuspbl.io, where they do a couple of things in their browser right away. Then after they do that, they learn just this compilation idea, right? Getting from source code to code that can be used on the blockchain. And then we look at how to use that code in transactions that in these 2 cases, 102.4, 102.5, and then in the assignment for this module, people get to use the validator code in some on-chain transactions. Finally, and only after doing those things, right? Play with a demo application, compile some validators, build some transactions. Then we say, okay, welcome to the course. Here's what you're going to learn here. Okay. Now that you've seen the first 3 modules, we'd like to tell you a little bit more about the course. And here's that outline that I just shared, right? You saw how to interact with the app. You saw how to compile the on-chain code. You built your first transactions. Cool. Now, let's introduce a couple more high-level things that in a traditional textbook might be part of the introduction, okay? We're just saving the introduction until people have already had a little bit of an experience. We give a high-level outline of Cardano architecture. It's very much incomplete, and that's on purpose. We're always doing a dance here, trying to say enough to give people some insight without going too far and overwhelming people. And there's no perfect way to do this. It's really hard to do. Every learner is different, so we're certainly going to fail at this for a lot of people. The goal is to refine what we do and just try to get better and better at saying just enough, just in time, so that it makes sense to people and allows them to keep going without feeling overwhelmed, right? We do the same thing for Git and GitHub. And then finally, this is what I really want to focus on today. We have to say just a little bit about Gimbalabs, right? How can you get involved? So let's look at the format, right? Understand general architecture of Cardano. There's the on-chain, the off-chain, UI, UX, and infrastructure. You can see the length of each of these sections. Obviously, we can't say everything about on-chain code in 2 or 3 sentences. Off-chain code, it's a little bit longer, right? But still not much. And then some links. Alex gathered these, right? So they're right down here, so anybody can keep learning. Cool. By the way, have people seen the chat feature that Jingle's built? This is built on Nostr. Play with it, try it. So next thing, right? Contributing to open source projects. That's a really big topic, right? But all we're going to do in this brief lesson is invite people to make their first PR to the Plutus PBL website. There's a lot to possibly say about open source development, but one thing we want to make sure people know how to do is access a public Git repo and make a contribution to it. If they've got that part down, then later we can go deeper, right, into some of the ideals and some of the common bottlenecks of open source development. And we will. A lot of those are things that will come up in places like live coding or here at Open Spaces. Okay. Now, what's the assignment here? It's kind of neat. People have a chance to add their goals to a page of the website. So that'll create a little artifact that we can refer back to over time. Then this is the incomplete lesson. You can see that it's not live yet. I know how to participate at Gimbalabs. So let's jump back to the studio view. And here's those 3 learning targets we were just looking at. I know how to participate at Gimbalabs. And what's here so far is just a copy of our primary driver and some bullet points of stuff that we might want to talk about or mention. So let me pause here. Any questions about getting up to this point? Anything we need to review just on the course outline, or like what the goal of this lesson is? Okay. So when I think at a high level, there's 2 things, right, that I want to share with people. I want to share a link to the calendar, and I want to share a link to our Discord. What else? And we'll come back to these in just a minute, right? Is what else would be like at the level of the calendar and the Discord server? Is there anything else that we just want to inform people of that it's there? Like, would Gimbalabs GitHub fit in this list?
I, I tend to think you should probably go ahead and mention playground in that section. And because what is Gimbalabs? Well, like the big amazing thing you've accomplished is building on Damio, but it's actually a separate thing, right? The people who are building on Damio are not hanging out at Gimbalabs that much, right? They show up at these meetings, but Gimbalabs is a different thing, right? It's a community thing.
Yeah, the question for me is how to participate in Gimbalabs and what are roles for participation and who you want to be. The student have to be like and expecting students to be able to answer this question is a little bit of a tough assignment because people just they don't have this idea in head. They have, I want to learn. So if we maybe it's good idea to have some transparency and some just guidance on the term of like what do we mean by participation. Because in the beginning, yeah, it's a good mention that it's written by a team of contributors, and maybe we can say like Bluetooth project-based learning is written by its students, something like this, by the people who took the course and liked it so much so that they stayed to contribute more to the course. The chat that I posted today and the questions I'm asking are about this, how to participate. So people are asking, how do I take this course? But in general, this is a question like, how am I participating in Gimbalabs, right? So I posted the announcement, which Sebastian made. I translated it into Russian. And one guy asked me, what the fuck? And I told him my story, like I joined Gimbalabs, blah, blah, blah. It's so nice. And it's a course which is built by the volunteers, and we provide free support and scaffolding. And so the guy is asking, for example, where can I read in more detail? Okay, fair enough. This is answered. So people have questions about just how to, well, I don't know. The question is really strange. I posted a link to the course, and the guy is asking where can I read more? Like, yeah, follow the link.
So how do we feel about that, right? Like if the question people have is where can I read more, and we say follow this link, how sufficient is that?
As a hacker, yes, pretty sufficient. This culture of RTFM, read the following manual, please. And it's just people tend to need social interaction more. So just if for the chat, I mean, it's like just reply again, yeah, here in this link. And that's okay, I think. That's all right. Maybe we can tie it into the goal the student provided in the previous exercise, because this would be a lot of depends on the goal. So if I just want to complete a lesson and see, so yeah, I want to learn Rust. What can we get from participation of a person who wants to learn Rust? We don't teach Rust. We teach Aikin and Cardano development. Well, can we do anything about the person who wants to learn Rust? I don't think like we can do much. They can do it in the process. But otherwise, if their goal is, I want to become a Cardano developer, well, yeah, here we can have some room for, like, okay, to become a Cardano developer, a good step is to participate in Gimbalabs, and you can participate as a contributor and a learner.
And the Rust example is interesting because it points out that, in the early years, we started with only Playground, and then we started hosting general live coding sessions, but really focused on Plutus. And then over time, fast forward to this spring, there's the Plutus PBL, which we're developing right now, but there's also weekly meetings for Go live coding and Mesh live coding, right? So there's nothing stopping anybody from saying, well, what would it look like to have a Rust session? And that's an interesting case study. Yeah, so like the idea that it'll continue to evolve over time. I'm thinking about the driver. Okay, to provide open, replicable, safe spaces to learn, explore, empower individuals and organizations anywhere so that we can solve meaningful problems. In my mind, there is no tension between this statement here and the idea that Alex was just saying, like, as a hacker, is it sufficient to say, hey, if you want to learn about this, read this thing, right? Go do this. For me, that really resonates with me. We're not capable, we're not staffed or funded to the point where we can be all things for all people. What we can be, we can say, here's spaces that we are creating. You're invited to join in. And step one for joining in is either, right, start reading or stop by. How does that feel to people, right? Like, is there any tension that we should be considering, or is it enough to say, hey, here's the calendar, here's the course. If you're interested, jump in.
I like that, James. I think where my mind's going with it is, like, I mean, you know me, it's been a while, and I'm attracted to the hacker mentality. I'm attracted to people like Alex and Mix and Harsha, and Nelson, Adrian. Everybody kind of comes in and they can get deep, right? They can be a real coder and do their thing if that's what they want to do. But for me, I think, and this may be a just a carrot that's been in my own imagination, right? Like like I've always felt like at Gimbalabs, we're preparing ourselves for a future that's very difficult to imagine, because the larger thing that's going on in this ecosystem is completely new and nobody's ever done it before. And there's going to be a need for organizations that can just, I don't like to use the typical buzzwords, right? It's not outreach, right? It's a combination of information, providing information, as well as motivation, as well as sketching out potential visions to small communities, right? There's things you can do with this technology. We're figuring out what that is. And at the same time, we're developing the language to communicate to people. So there's that part of Gimbalabs that's, like, at some point, people like you, James, and you, Alex, and you, Mix, like, the coding is going to be done. Like, the modular elements of all of these systems is going to be built, and communicating with people is going to be the larger task. And I think Labs is probably, at least for my taste, right? There's lots of people that talk in Cardano, and they may become the loudest voices, but I think Gimbalabs for thoughtful people or thoughtful communities is going to be attractive, as long as we're conscious of what they're going to need beyond code. I'll be quiet. I think you got the drift of my thought there.
I want to support what you say, in the sense that education, like Gimbalabs, tied to education very closely in my mind. And education is about, and that's what ties, education and research, that being able to communicate complex ideas. I have a little bit of a kind of distrust toward the point that the coding will be ever done, because there's like, it's a language, and you can achieve infinite ends by finite means of language. And it doesn't matter if it's natural language we communicate in, or it's language of computer code. So, but yeah, it's like participation in Gimbalabs, and what do our learner? I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a person who is developing on Cardano or just coming to develop on Cardano, or just is encountering the course, and what is their, what is their emotion and what is their pain point, and what is their user journey, right? So where are they going with these steps?
Mix and I were talking earlier this week about at what age we would stop hacking. Mix, you have any thoughts on Steve's point?
Well, about the hacking is about I mean, in my opinion, in my world, if I have all the money for like I'm financially fulfilled, no need to do something in order to earn money, I still have this urge that I need to know about the stuff. And I personally, since I think I was a kid, learned that if you want to know something, you need to understand it. And understanding needs a deep level of knowledge and, getting into things. So I will be always curious. So once you are not curious in your life, you don't hack. We normally every day hacking stuff because we want to understand. Because what is hacking actually? Hacking is finding flaws, loopholes, the bad side of the things. So it's not like very fancy word of like it has to be related to computer science. No. Penetration testing, all sort of like reverse engineering, all sort of words in cybersecurity. Basically, you can use it in your daily life, in your relationship. I mean, that's my understanding of being a cybersecurity expert or something. So uh, if you really want to truly understand something, you have to hack it. You have to break it into parts. What sort of parts? The parts you can observe, you can digest. And of course, the digestion is another process. So once you have the hacking, okay, you know the issue. Great. What's the solution now? What can you do about it? Just complain, ranting about, what can you do about it? And that's the thing I'm really excited about, because once we reach to that digestion, once we reach to that solution, the transcendence part of stuff, if we want to become better humans, better learner, better teachers, better collaborator, better contributor, the solution part is so once we know there are problems, once we understand the problem, which famously people say 50% of solution is understanding the problem. Now is the time of the solution, and you can find solution based on yourself. It doesn't have to be some like following someone's steps. No, and the old thing about out of box thinking is about that solution part. That's exciting to me, and I think people does that, but they are not that much aware of that. So uh, if you really want to, I mean, my personal opinion, if you want to really keep your brain fresh, and therefore keep your sensory fresh, like you don't get fooled by governments, that or Illuminati or something. uh, you need to hack. You need to understand, and okay, of course, deeper level understanding and the solution, and again going through this cycle and this cycle. Even the death, for me, like for many philosophers, the death is one of the biggest things that they need to understand and hack. And the solution might be longevity or living forever. For some is, I don't know, some sort of spiritual journey or whatever. But my personal opinion is, if you stop living, yeah, just stop hacking as well. And sorry for I just combine all these things, you know. You guys call me mix for a reason, right? I just combine all sort of topics.
Ah, I love that. I mean, what else would you expect a Professor Mix to say?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You and Sir Mix-a-Lot have that in common, right? Just take the ideas and jam them together in new ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because you know, like when I get tired of thinking about crypto lately, I've been revisiting musical information. You know, like this week I've been watching videos of people talking about the double harmonic scale, which is used in Arabic music and Indian music, and you know, and it's, you know, like the reason I've looked at it a few years ago, and I've been getting back into looking at music in this way, these different musical scales that are used around the world, is because of substitutions, right? You know, like if you know you play some classic American song from the 70s and then you substitute some chords that come from some of these others.
Jazzy.
No, it's interesting to me, right? You know, because
Yeah.
people don't know how they connect, and then but sometimes you can connect them in a way that's, you know, touches them emotionally or whatever in ways they don't even understand. And I think that I love what you said, Max, and I think that that's actually, you know, like at a certain point, you know, like in music, at a certain point, the details and the mechanics of the music or the code is all, you know, like the dynamic that makes it work is you don't have to think about it, right? Because you know it on an unconscious level, right? And that's exactly the way music is. But that's like why at some point the daily grind that y'all are going through right now and developing the code and developing the platforms and all that shit, you know, you don't need to do that, and it's actually not going to have the most impact, right? Because there's always going to be some young guy who just wants to dive into it, right? And I've seen this over and over in one field or another. But what's really going to be useful is to go to a unique community with unique desires and understandings and shit that they want to transact with. And then all you have to do is show them how to tweak the stuff to customize it.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
just talking, right? That's like what we're doing right now. You know, just got to get to know people.
Yeah, it's like I can say Gimbalab is for you if you want to participate in a symphony. You consider yourself a great instrument, give a big great music, great nice. Joining Gimbalab to become a symphony, like get
I
your
don't consider
harmony.
myself a great instrument. I am a out of tune, shitty old guitar, you know.
Still, it is essential.
Magic. I never liked the sound of instruments that are too perfectly in tune.
Yeah, they feel artificial, like
Mhm.
someone's play guitar and keyboard or
Mhm.
something like generated by AI or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like an AI agent wrote the lyrics. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Gimbalab is for you if you love flaws, issues, bugs, frustration.
Well, that's a good point there, is that, when I just started my computer programmer journey, because I was a hacker when I was a kid, like I was jailbreaking phones when I was in university, I started using Linux when I was a kid. I was breaking computer games for fun, because I couldn't get them to work. They were pirated. But when I started to become computer programmer, one of the courses that I took from MIT was the professor was talking about the I don't really like to make this separation line between just like these people and these people, but what he was saying that what takes apart good programmer from a bad programmer or is the love of problem solving, right? So that and what Mix is saying, like the frustration, well, yeah, it comes, it's the nature of how we do stuff. We dive into information, we get frustrated with the information overload, we need to break, and that's the way how insight comes. You read something, you talk to people, and you go for a walk, and then you have the idea. But the frustration is just putting it up front kills the magic, sort of. But so I don't think we should include this sort of thing in the participation and how to get involved. But thinking about what we actually what takes the people apart? Yeah, the people who just come here and they take some lessons and they just go away versus people who stay. For me personally, is love of problem solving, and that's what you are highlighting, because like we understand as hackers, we understand that the harder the problem is, the less people who solved it, the more valuable the solution. You can be a sort of magician, who does stuff and nobody knows how you do it, and people just pay like a lot of attention or huge money, or they just fascinated with you when you're doing some stuff they have like it looks magic to them. And that's a sort of kind of hacker thing, hacker culture, knowing stuff that nobody knows. It's Mix was telling, right?
And yeah, especially in hacking, where you have to have very high level of frustration tolerance. Actually, some people have this kind of
I believe it's a skill. It's a skill. You
Yeah.
just get more tolerant with the time, like first you get frustrated and you give up, and then I don't know why they call it growth mindset in the wellness app that I use, So like if you have growth mindset, means that you believe that you can learn anything. It just
Yeah.
takes time and effort. But some people say, like my parents say, some people are just not meant to do things. And that's a lack of growth mindset, and this is detrimental to just personal well-being. So that's like one of the things.
But the thing is about how you can get that mindset. The first step is forget about frustration is so-called or quote-unquote negative emotion or feeling. Frustration is, if I can say, it's like a color. You cannot have purple without like blue. Imagine frustration is blue. And imagine the purple or violet is the color of love or something. You cannot, I mean, it's like, of course, it's suffering, it's bad, we don't like it. But that's the theory that people have in evolution. Some biologists have that if organism do the evolution just because of the competency. The higher level of competency, higher chance of evolution and moving forward. So Gimbalabs to me is like uh, like a pool, a place that if I see a bug, if I see issue, I see people with different bugs, with different, I start slowly get this feeling that, okay, frustration is hard, but it's not negative. I'm not getting something like push, like, negativity. No,
I
it's
cannot
just
agree
another.
with that because frustration for me is strictly negative, and I know it when I feel, but it's just Yeah, man, because like I have this thing in me that if I'm frustrated for a long time, I get headaches, and you cannot argue that physical pain is
Yeah, it
negative,
does. It
right?
does. But
So it's just
can you tell
management.
me, without frustration, without this so-called negativity,
Mm.
you can become more competent, you can transcend, you learn new things? I mean, as far as we human right now are, of course, in future, if we have some sort of technology, I don't know, upload our mind into some sort of virtual world, which we solve everything, fine, fine. But now, we have to go through a process, and that process has, frustration, pain, suffering, I don't know, sadness, hopelessness, all these things. But what can we do about it? Putting negativity on that, just attack, just attack. I mean, just maybe playing with words. But if we put the negativity on that, so we have to come up with something positivity. But if you don't have positivity, you cannot come fight with negativity. Here is the thing. If you do not consider that as negativity and you consider it's a stage, it's a phase, I have to go through it, then the next stage is something else, maybe better, maybe worse, who knows? But
They call it hope.
exactly, hope, end of the line, that light at the end of the hall or something. But the thing is, you don't need to be positive in frustration. You just need to be patient. Consistent, persistence. You need to just move forward, push forward, fight more. And a place like Gimbalab helps you because once you bring your frustration here, people encourage you, create sympathy, empathy, all sorts of stuff. Someone solves something for you, you just get this process, this cycle of frustration, happiness, frustration, hope, frustration, or all these things. But that's the thing. I cannot say very binary thing. This is positive, that's a negative. Because that trick your mind into, okay, this is negative, do something about it. Do positive. Okay, what's positive?
You are a really great philosopher, because this is this what you describe right now is work of some guy whose name I don't know, but his surname is Barthes, and I'm sure I'm killing it. So the idea is called semiotics, and the thing is like, or actually no, it's not him. No, it's different idea. Then I forget the surname, but there's or maybe it's him. So that we do define certain things in terms of other things. And yeah, I think it's semiotics. And like it's a way of thinking of
Yeah.
putting things as opposites, and it's just contrasting things one against another. But the recognition that this philosopher gave, and like that's not the only way, and there are others. But that's not to say that it's not a valid way to think. That's like contrasting things is very. That's why GitHub has, or like you have diffs with red and green, right? Like this is added, this is removed.
Yeah.
It's very helpful in a way. Oh, nice picture.
It can be a lot more practical though too. Like if you're working out or exercising, you have a goal, like you may be frustrated in the moment, but the frustration is because you have something blocking you from a goal. And you're not going through the struggle for nothing. You're going through the struggle because you have something on the other side that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. So for me, when I joined Gimbalabs, what I was trying to achieve was to find community to be able to develop together with other people. Because I realized by the couple of months before that I've been sitting in my home too long, just learning, doing deep learning on my own neural network, and just reading books, doing exercise, and not talking to people. And that collaborative development is really important, and that's the way to go. And there were two alternatives at the moment for me. There was a community of algo traders in Python who would, build systems to. And then I found out about crypto, and then I found out about Gimbalabs. And this was a major, because like algo trading. What's in that? What's in that? You know, like why should I do this? I'm not the guy who tries to screw the system. You know, it's like you have to have some positive impact in your life. And when I learned about Gimbalabs and the building on Cardano, it was like no-brainer. You know, I just it was really sort of. I'm just coming back to my personal story of how I became participant, you know, and what did drive me. Yeah.
But here is the
So,
thing, I think.
James, are all the bugs happy in our code?
Yeah,
Well,
some bugs are
I
not
was
happy.
I was really happy that look at this guy right here. He's kind of frowning and trying to climb out the left side of the pool. So that's kind of neat.
He's frustrated,
Yeah.
obviously.
The bugs which are in the code are unhappy bugs. When you find it and remove it from the code, it becomes a happy bug.
Okay.
But here is the
Which one is
thing.
mix?
I am on that you know that what does it what do they call you guys this thing that is save
Butterfly.
people? He's sitting on that. It is sitting on that
This guy?
lifesaver tire or something.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm not in the picture. I'm in deep underwater. You know.
Oh, that's a reasonable point. Okay.
I'm a flower.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a cloud.
No, you were that butterfly. You know. You just finished your phase. And actually, here's the thing. If you are a coder, I mean, why you should come to Gimbalab or such a spaces, not just Gimbalab. If you are a coder and you want to become philosopher, businessman, you know, I don't know, uh, philanthropist, all sort of thing, learning about this, getting the feeling, yeah, that's a place. If you are a philosopher, you want to get a little bit of code, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So it's kind of, I cannot say it's like a leveling place, but we get dimension. So if
Yeah,
in my
this
opinion, we
is
can say
it's-
multi-dimension.
that's what I mean. So there's that, right? Like there's the framing of you are this, but might also be that.
Yeah.
And that's I've been thinking this since the early days of Gimbal Labs. Like, and I still don't know the best way to say it, but what I do know about myself is that if I'm in a room full of developers, I always take the side of non-developers. And if I'm in a room full of non-developers, I want to nudge people towards being developers, right? Like it's
Yeah.
because both are important. This is not a binary thing. And there's a really blurry line, right? So many of these conversations we've had in spaces like this have gone on to be the starting points for code that we end up writing. And sometimes the best thinkers about what that code might need to be able to do are not developers. We
Yeah.
have to have that space, right? So I think that's one thing we've done quite well, right? Is yes, we absolutely need to write code. Like anybody who just wants to sit around and talk about the future without contributing to building it is, I think, missing a point. However, if you're only writing the code, there's limits to that too. How do we say it?
I
Oh,
don't know what do they call this, a space between universe. Like there is this, it's not limbo, but it's a space between all the spaces. I forgot there is a term for that. That many things can exist at once. It's like a
Right,
superposition space,
right.
you know. But actually, we are going to see that the thing you mentioned, James, and I pointed out. You know, we talk all this about proposal, you know, S3 proposal and all these things. Once the hard fork finish and happen, Plutus version 3, we literally will sit down and write proposal contracts, converting that pseudocode to the smart contract actual
Yes, we
code.
will. That's right.
And
That's
I am a coder. I can, if I be very, you know, generous to myself, I can say I am a coder. But I am not really good at writing this proposal, framing that in my mind, all the thing. So someone needs to do that, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then someone needs to write the code. Someone needs to test it, not just testing the code, but testing the formal verification. I mean, the logical verification. Does this make sense or not? So I don't know this place. I mean, what would be the name of merging? All these people can come and combine, merge. It's like a pool. It's like a soup. Delicious soup.
Steve, what are you thinking?
There are certain concepts that kind of float in and out of my head, and one of the ones that I hear talked about a lot is vertical integration. When it comes to business shit. And I just was reading an article recently that was like, now like I have a really rounded understanding of the idea of vertical integration. And the example was these ranches out in Montana, and they don't want to sell their beef to Tyson Foods, right? Because they make money one time and it gets kind of, spewed out, and it's just not good business. So there's a group of ranchers. They make their own meat processing facility, and they do their own restaurants, and they go out to community events. And so they're making money several different times from these cows that they raise. And I really like that because, like, as you know, for the last 2 or 3 years, I think a lot about leather. Like, where could I find somebody to make me some kick-ass boots that are going to last a long time? Like if they were to integrate, a tannery into that operation and have some cobblers or leather workers working for them, that would be like really extending that concept of vertical integration. And to me, blockchain makes it easy to do that stuff, right? This is kind of like what I think about when I'm talking about going to a community and saying, hey, what can you do with blockchain? Well, you can do business different and kind of make yourself more bulletproof, more easily able to survive difficult times. And I think that's kind of like the end result we want to see from all this blockchain development. And that's that soup, that's that space that nobody really talks about very much, where it's multiple things happening at the same time. Because code doesn't mean shit if there's not any people, at the end of the production cycle. And it doesn't mean anything if it's not helping make people's lives easier so that they can spend more time with their families and stuff. And now I sound like a fucking politician, but you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Either we all are politicians, aren't we?
Oh, change the word developers and non-developers right here. There's right.
Yeah.
Everybody's both. It's a blurry line. Everybody plays politics in some spheres of their lives. One awesome thing that just happened here. Thank you guys for this conversation. This is actually the closest I've ever felt towards what it really feels like if I'm writing one of these lessons alone. And this might, I don't know if this is obvious after the fact, but anytime we end up with a lesson that's succinct, and I think a lot of these lessons still have a long way to go, right? They can get shorter, they can get clearer. But just to go back to like this one right here, right? Some elements of application architecture. Before this section right here was this short, it filled up the whole page. Right? And it's such a privilege that we get to engage in this writing process together and to be drafting this way. I think this is the best way to draft any piece of writing, is to throw it all out there and then to say, uh-oh, okay, cool. Now we've got this. I made a mess. Now I got to clean it up. And that's the step ahead. And I feel like we're having a breakthrough right now of what it can feel like to do that in a shared space. So the next step, now that we have this outline, we have these possible things we could say. Now we have to distill it to the most important parts, the most important subheadings, and the most, the key details. And I'm wondering, does anybody want to take a try at that individually? Obviously, I could sit and turn this into my version of it. But does anybody want to take on this draft and turning this into the most succinct and public facing version of this possible?
Kind of like it the way it is, but I mean, do you mean more of like an essay type of thing?
No, less, shorter, less like an essay and more like a very clean document with a couple of subheadings and a couple of critical bullet points that are very well organized, not overwhelming. Some of this stuff is fun for us to say, but this language is kind of precious.
Right,
We're
right.
not trying to look cute. We're not,
Yeah.
we're trying to say, look, this matters to us. And so what's the way to say it?
Yeah.
So
There's
turning
probably some overlap too.
exactly, there's a little bit of redundancy, and that's the best thing that can happen when you're drafting something in the format that we're taking right here. But now we got to turn this document into something that will make sense to somebody who hasn't been sitting around having conversations like this for the last however much time, right?
I'll take
So
a look at it.
yeah, you want
I
to,
mean,
yeah, awesome.
I don't have any way into where you are, but you could just copy and drop it in the Discord.
Well, let's get you in. Have you logged into Andamio? Just go to andamio.io and log in, and I'll show you how to get set up. Just hit me up on Discord after you do that, and I'll show you how to get in here.
Okay.
And Steve, please do not be polite. Yeah. This document needs to
Polite.
communicate with people, so you don't need to be polite. You need to be direct.
And if you don't
Always,
fucking like it, don't jump into Gimbalabs.
always,
Again, exactly.
with what actually ends up on the page, the less we say, the better. And
Yeah.
I even feel uncomfortable saying that right now because I know that a lot of the lessons that are already written can get briefer, right? And that's writing 101, right? It's the hardest thing to do is write it the short, succinct way.
Yeah.
There's you could probably find that quote attributed to so many different authors, right? I would have written a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time. And I love that.
No, I mean, yeah.
So that's a next step here, right? And we can make the title whatever we want. We can clean up this language. We can just play around with this. We can add some links. Let's grab some of those links while we're here.
By the way, James, in that Gimbalabs like open space live coding, do we want to add the blog? Like you, Alex, you guys are writing blogs as well.
We did. We wrote a
Consider them
few.
as blog?
I think the Gimbalabs blog is a growth area.
Okay.
There's been a little bit of work there. right? But I don't think anybody has focused too much attention on this yet. Thanks, Seb, for those most recent ones. I didn't even know those were there. Awesome, man. So there's that. Live coding is also, yeah, the calendar. Whoops. That's here. So we certainly want people to have the link. We need a Discord link. Let's just get that right here. Okay. The GitHub, we could include the GitHub.
And GitLab, I mean, GitLab is more,
I know. Well, anything that needs to be public, let's try to move it towards the GitHub so we're not confusing people. GitHub was a nice early days thing, and we still have some more like private stuff there, but as stuff goes public, I think it simplifies it just to have it here. Roles might be a section. All that, yeah. All right. Cool. And then we can, Steve, if you get in here, you give this a pass, then you can ping everybody in Discord so that if anybody else wants to come edit Steve's work, you can. And then of course in Notion, this is a writing and an editing task. So it's exciting to be moving on that.
Okay.
So in the moment we have left, right? So here is the module, general architecture, contributing to open source projects and knowing how to participate. Often some lessons have a more practical action item than other ones. And out of these 3 lessons, the way they currently stand, I think number 2 has the most practical outcome, right? Add your goal to the PPBL website. By the way, let's check. See if there are any PRs. I'm not sure. Come through. Nelson's handy stuff. Okay, we'll get back to that. So this one is an example when it comes to creating an assignment to go with this, right? The current assignment idea would be just to do lesson 103.2 so that your goals are at plutuspbl.io/goals. But that's just one option. A different option, just say hello on Gimbalabs Discord, right? It could be that simple. Or drop by a community meeting. But all of these come with a different set of assumptions, right? Do people really want to participate by coming to a community meeting, right? There's a lot of people who have taken PBL courses in the past who never come to the meetings, but they get a lot of benefits from the course. Discord, we already talked about it earlier this meeting. Discord's not for everybody, but people are still contributing even though they don't spend a lot of time on there, right? So this one, for me, this would be the front runner just because this is a course first and foremost for people who are developing. And we're definitely going to want people able to do this. That said, this assignment could be a menu of options. So think about that. If anybody has strong feelings about that, we can come back to this one and we'll finish this one at the latest by early next week. But just drop a line in the education channel in Discord if you want to take the lead on finishing up this assignment, or if you have some strong ideas there. Any questions about that? Before we move to checkout round, just one feature that went live this week. I'm not sure people have seen this yet. If I do navigate over to the course, this lesson's not live, so that one doesn't count. But here's like a live lesson, for example, or even the first one. And remember, in prior years, on-chain data about assignment completion doesn't always start from the very beginning of the course, and it's not always included in every module. And that's a good thing. And this is the famous learning target we've talked about, right? Even though you might be able to create an on-chain artifact like a token or a transaction, we can never know for sure that you know how to safely manage your private keys. We can know for sure that you don't know how to do this, right? If your wallet gets drained. But here's one that really you are the most important assessor of this knowledge. And we say it right here, right? An assignment is a way to prove to these two audiences, yourself and sometimes other people, that you can do these things. And so the new feature that you'll find if you look at this course is that now we have assignment status here, where anybody can come to the end of an assignment. Forget about the on-chain part. That's for sharing with the public world. That's going to be rolling out over the next few weeks. But anybody can drop in here. They can say, I'm going to save this assignment for later, or I'm currently working on this one, or sure, maybe I'm done, right? And you can write whatever message you want. You can come back and change this later. I have the scaffold tokens. They're in my wallet. What I'm wondering about is, are these NFTs? Right? Something like that, right? Maybe I have a question. Then I can always see those notes. These are only private to me as a learner. And when I go to my profile, I can see all of these statuses in my learning journey. But the critical thing here, and I do think this relates to our conversation about Gimbalabs, the critical thing here is that I'm the audience for my notes. These are not for public sharing. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody but myself that I know how to do these things. So play with that feature. We can keep refining it, but it's just in early state and definitely something for people to play around with. Any
That's
questions
nice.
about
I
that?
like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I need this for myself. You know, I don't want to necessarily share all the details, but it's cool to have that there. All right. Let's do a quick checkout. We got just a couple minutes. Nelson, how was the workroom?
Yeah, Claudio jumped in. Yeah, and we discussed, like during the workflow, we discussed a couple of doubts that we both had. So it might be nice to catch up with people who are writing the contracts. But yeah, we were able to decode one whole datum. That's the module reference. So on chain, a module is represented by a token, and it has some datum regarding that module, and we were able to decode that datum and create an endpoint to fetch it. So yeah. Cool.
Yes, sir. Congrats. Harsha, how you leaving us today?
I thought the discussions were great in terms of understanding how everyone is looking at Gimbalabs and how everyone is looking at contributors and stuff like that. Yeah, personally, I just come to like hear the conversations, which I think are great, and learn a thing or two in the process. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, man. Professor Mix-a-Lot, how you leaving us?
I'm good. I haven't been around open spaces, so I took all my chips and all the time that I didn't talk today. So I hope I made some good point, and really I believe Gimbalabs this space is really life changing. It did to me, and I have high hope that it will does to, and it will. I don't know what a scale, but still it is doing to many people. So I hope I can see new, fresh faces with great frustration, and I would love to help them go through that frustration and seeing the light so that one day they can help me as well. So yeah, all hail frustration, high tolerance frustration. Thank you all.
We're putting Mix in charge of the marketing campaign. Fresh, frustrated faces. It has alliteration. It's really nice. Alex, I hope you're taking notes. Ken, how you leaving us today?
Yeah, it was a good discussion. I got that stuff up on Notion, so that's good. And yeah, so great conversation.
Awesome. Thanks, partner. And Sebastian.
Sorry. Yeah, thanks a lot. Really good session. Have a nice day, buddy.
Thanks, partner. Adrian.
Great discussions. Thank you, everyone.
And Alex.
Thanks.
Oh, you're coming through really quiet.
Lots to think about. I'm hopeful.
Here, let's pass it to Steve, but then interrupt if you think you got sound back. Steve, how you leaving us today?
You know, I'm glad I actually came. I really enjoyed it. It was nice to hear Mix again. I felt like I hadn't talked to him in a while, and glad to hear Alex's. I love you guys. So like, I'm just always glad to be here. So, thanks.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, James. It wasn't like a great birthday party discussion, but we all love you as well.
I
So
enjoyed it. No, thanks, partner. No, that was fun. That was fun. And I'm serious when I say I think we leveled up in terms of sharing a writing process the way we did. It's unusual for 9 people to be able to get together and throw ideas on the page like that in a low judgment space where we're really just exploring ideas. And I think that's what happened today. And I'd like to bottle that one up and figure out how to make sure that we do that as often as possible, right? Drafting and then refining ideas and then fashioning them into a place where they can make sense to people who have maybe not yet spent as much time with those ideas, but want to dip their toes in. So I'll be daydreaming of bugs filling up pools and all that. Thanks for that image. All right, everybody. Thanks for this one, and see you soon. Have a good Thursday.
thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.